You walk through crowded streets, surrounded by noise, opinions, and endless demands. Every glance, every conversation, every unexpected interaction carries an invisible charge threatening your calm. In an urban environment, energy is currency, and without boundaries, yours is spent recklessly. Be like Medusa. Observe without being consumed. Turn toward your own strength rather than the chaos around you. The city tests your resilience. How you respond defines your inner freedom. Emotional energy is fragile. In the office, in the subway, in your social circles, people unknowingly or deliberately test your limits. Each compromise, each internalized irritation, each unspoken resentment chips away at your well-being. Medusa teaches us to claim control over our own perception. The world may crowd you, but you choose what enters your inner space. Protect your mind like a fortress, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Anxiety, social pressure, and the constant pull of other people's emotions are amplified in urban life. Without deliberate boundaries, your mental clarity suffers. Yet, establishing these boundaries is not aggression, it is an act of mastery. Like Medusa, whose gaze holds power, your awareness can neutralize external turbulence. A single steady presence can resist the chaos, turning potential paralysis into confidence and self-possession. To survive and thrive in a city, you must become intentional about your emotional investments. Decide where your attention goes, what energy you allow to influence your mood, and when to retreat into your solitude to recharge. The urban environment may be relentless, but your response need not be. Cultivating boundaries is your shield, your way of asserting that your life is not up for negotiation. This is not about isolation. It is about selective engagement. It is about learning to wield your focus and emotional energy with the precision of a philosopher and the calm of a Medusa-like figure. The world will always pull at you, but you have the power to decide what sticks, what passes through, and what turns to stone before it reaches your inner core. Here begins your practice of emotional sovereignty. In today's fast-paced urban environment, women are constantly navigating a web of demands, expectations, and emotional currents. It's easy to feel drained, anxious, or even invisible under the weight of constant interaction. Yet, there is a path to strength, clarity, and unshakable composure, one rooted in psychology, philosophy, and the archetypal wisdom of Medusa. Be like Medusa. Develop boundaries that protect your energy without guilt or fear, and transform urban chaos into a space where you remain centered and autonomous. Throughout this series, you will explore practical strategies to establish emotional limits, maintain calm under pressure, and reclaim your mental and emotional space in cities that rarely pause. Drawing from Stoic principles, you will learn to differentiate between what you can control and what you cannot, cultivating a mindset where your energy is preserved, your reactions intentional, and your presence commanding. I invite you to actively engage with this journey. Like this content if it resonates. Subscribe for more insights into female psychology and emotional empowerment, and comment below sharing the city and country where you are watching from. Your participation not only strengthens your own practice, but creates a community of women committed to self-mastery, reflection, and the pursuit of authentic power in everyday life. Through reflection, practice, and the lens of Medusa as a symbol of emotional sovereignty, you will discover how to protect your energy, assert your boundaries, and remain resilient amidst urban challenges. Let's embark on this journey together and transform the pressures of city life into opportunities for clarity, strength, and profound self-possession. Urban life constantly bombards the senses: noise, traffic, crowds, digital alerts. Every day presents challenges that drain emotional energy before we even arrive at work or complete our personal routines. The first step toward mastery is awareness. Recognize the invisible weight you carry, and understand that your energy is finite. Like Medusa, whose gaze could turn aggressors to stone, develop the ability to neutralize external stressors before they penetrate your inner peace. Emotional boundaries begin with observation. Notice which people, environments, or situations leave you exhausted. The Stoics taught that not all stimuli require a reaction. You can witness discomfort, rudeness, or manipulation without internalizing it. In practice, this means taking a breath before responding, maintaining posture and tone, and asking yourself, do I choose to engage or do I preserve my energy? Your autonomy lies in this choice. In crowded public spaces, even minor interactions can become draining. The woman in the subway who glares at you, the coworker who critiques incessantly, the social media feed that triggers anxiety, they are all external, temporary, and irrelevant to your self-worth. By cultivating selective engagement, you create a shield around your emotional core, deciding what deserves your attention and what should bounce off harmlessly. Daily routines can serve as both armor and recharge. Consider small rituals, a morning walk before the city fully wakes, journaling thoughts for clarity, or setting micro-boundaries with colleagues, such as limiting personal disclosure or refusing multitasking. Medusa's power was in her presence. She did not overextend herself, nor did she allow external forces to dictate her reality. Similarly, your energy is defended by deliberate, consistent practices. Assertiveness is a crucial part of boundary maintenance. Saying no or redirecting requests may feel uncomfortable initially, especially in competitive workplaces or social circles. However, each refusal strengthens your inner sovereignty. The key is framing it without guilt. Your time, focus, and emotions are assets, not obligations. Like Medusa's gaze, your clarity can stop unnecessary intrusions while maintaining dignity. Stoic reflection amplifies this strength. At the end of each day, review interactions. Which drained you unnecessarily? Which were neutral or positive? Journaling insights creates a map of emotional hotspots and allows you to preemptively strategize. Medusa's myth reminds us that power often comes from knowledge. Knowing who or what affects you enables you to act with precision. Emotional armor does not mean emotional suppression. It means regulated response. Practice mindfulness when frustration, irritation, or anxiety arise. Observe sensations without immediate reaction. Imagine your emotional state as a garden. Each thought or stimulus is a seed. Only those that serve growth are allowed to root. The rest are observed and released, leaving your inner space fertile for calm, focus, and productivity. Social media and urban connectivity often blur these boundaries. Notifications, messages, and online discourse can amplify stress. Apply Medusa's principle. Filter what enters your mental field. Limit exposure, curate content, and consciously disengage when necessary. This is not avoidance. It is the disciplined practice of self-preservation, ensuring that digital noise does not invade your emotional sovereignty. Recognize that some relationships are inherently draining. Family, colleagues, friends, or casual acquaintances may repeatedly test your boundaries. Maintain clarity about your capacity. You are allowed to step back, limit interaction, and prioritize your mental and emotional health. Medusa's isolation was not weakness. It was strategic, a conscious preservation of power and agency. Finally, integrate reflection into action. Each week, set intentions for boundary enforcement. What situations will you approach differently? How will you manage potential emotional disruptions? Combine Stoic reflection, mindfulness, and Medusa-inspired presence to fortify your energy. The urban environment may be relentless, but with intentional boundaries, you remain untouchable, composed, and entirely in command of your inner life. The city thrives on interaction, stimulation, and constant movement, yet this rhythm can overwhelm even the most resilient woman. Emotional boundaries are not just protective. They are empowering. Like Medusa, whose gaze commanded respect and caution, you must cultivate an awareness that allows you to navigate public spaces without surrendering your calm. Your energy is a resource, and defending it is a deliberate act of self-respect. Begin with mental zoning. Recognize the difference between external events and internal responses. Traffic, noise, or rudeness is external. Your irritation is internal. The Stoics remind us that it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. By reframing experiences, you can prevent unnecessary emotional depletion. Observation without automatic reaction is the cornerstone of urban emotional mastery. Establish physical and emotional markers. In a workplace or public environment, clear boundaries can be subtle yet powerful. Maintain posture that signals confidence, use concise language, and avoid oversharing personal information. This is not social coldness, it is intentional engagement. Medusa's presence was unmistakable, yet she did not waste energy on those unworthy of her attention. Your interactions should mirror this principle. Identify energy drainers. Notice who leaves you tense, distracted, or emotionally heavy. Some people unconsciously project anxiety, expectations, or negativity. Others do so deliberately. Either way, boundaries protect you. Practice polite but firm disengagement, stepping away, limiting conversation, or redirecting dialogue. Your capacity is finite, and preserving it is necessary for sustainable strength. Emotional self-checks should become daily rituals. Before leaving home or entering high-stimulation environments, ask, "What am I bringing into this space? What will I refuse?" This intentionality reduces reactive behavior and reinforces internal sovereignty. Like Medusa, your presence is a signal of authority. You do not have to engage with every challenge, only those that serve your purpose. Urban spaces often amplify anxiety and social pressure. To mitigate this, use grounding techniques. Deep breathing, mindful observation, or brief moments of solitude in cafes, parks, or even public transport. Acknowledging tension and then releasing it prevents accumulation of stress. Your inner calm becomes a visible armor, influencing not just yourself, but the energy of the space around you. Social obligations constrain boundaries. Invitations, favors, or expectations are not inherently harmful, but unexamined compliance erodes autonomy. Evaluate requests based on personal capacity and long-term goals. Saying no strategically is not rejection of others, it is affirmation of your own value. Medusa's myth reminds us that the power to protect oneself is the ultimate form of respect. Mindful communication reinforces emotional sovereignty. When confronted with provocation or manipulation, respond with clarity, brevity, and neutrality. Do not allow emotional triggers to dictate your tone or decision-making. By maintaining composure, you control the narrative rather than being controlled by it. Presence, like Medusa's gaze, is enough to establish limits without aggression. Urban life can tempt overextension, too many projects, social commitments, or emotional labor. Regularly audit your engagements. Prioritize those that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Withdraw gracefully from those that deplete you. Strategic isolation is not loneliness, it is preservation. Medusa's solitude was deliberate, not punitive. Similarly, your boundaries are intentional and protective. Finally, integrate reflection, action, and adjustment. Each day, assess which boundaries succeeded and which require reinforcement. Journaling, stoic reflection, or brief meditative pauses support ongoing self-regulation. Over time, these practices cultivate an inner fortress, a woman in the city who is calm, decisive, and unshakable. Be like Medusa, your energy is sovereign, your boundaries inviolable, and your presence profoundly impactful. City life constantly demands adaptation. Each street, workplace, and social gathering brings a unique blend of stimuli and expectations. Without clearly defined emotional boundaries, this constant flux erodes resilience and self-possession. Be like Medusa. Stand firm in your internal space, letting external chaos swirl around you without penetrating your calm. Awareness is the first form of defense. Begin with self-inquiry. Ask yourself, which situations consistently leave me drained or reactive? Identify patterns rather than isolated incidents. Recognition allows preemptive strategy. Stoicism teaches that forethought mitigates harm. By anticipating challenges, you prevent emotional overexposure. Medusa's myth reflects this principle. Her vigilance ensured that she engaged only on her terms. Urban encounters often trigger subtle psychological pressures, passive aggressiveness in the office, constant comparison in social settings, or microaggressions in public spaces. These pressures are insidious because they seem minor individually, but collectively they deplete energy. Establishing boundaries means deciding which interactions require response and which deserve polite disengagement. Your attention is a controlled resource. Assertiveness is a daily practice. When confronted with intrusive behavior, respond calmly yet firmly. Avoid excessive explanation or apology. Your energy is not public property. Like Medusa, whose presence alone commanded recognition and respect, your boundaries signal authority without overt confrontation. Internalizing this principle allows for measured, confident engagement even in high-pressure environments. Mental and emotional microhabits reinforce these boundaries. Begin each day with intentionality, journaling priorities, visualizing challenging interactions, and setting personal limits. Meditation or deep breathing before high-stimulus environments enhances focus. Small rituals accumulate into sustained strength. Over time, these practices create a mental buffer that preserves composure amidst urban unpredictability. Urban living amplifies sensory and emotional overload. Overcrowded public transport, street noise, and digital connectivity create constant tension. Limit unnecessary exposure when possible. Schedule downtime, use noise-canceling strategies, or seek brief moments of solitude. Medusa's story symbolizes selective engagement. She did not disperse her energy on trivial threats. Similarly, your strategic withdrawal is a demonstration of power, not weakness. Social media and digital communication are modern battlegrounds. Messages, notifications, and opinions can penetrate your boundaries subtly yet effectively. Curate digital spaces intentionally, mute negativity, unfollow energy-draining sources, and create intentional windows for interaction. This discipline preserves your mental energy for meaningful connections, professional focus, and personal well-being. Relationships require evaluation through the lens of emotional sustainability. Some individuals consistently generate stress or drama. Boundaries may include limiting exposure, redirecting conversation, or gracefully declining invitations. Each action is a reinforcement of internal authority. Medusa's power derived from discernment. Knowing whom to engage and whom to avoid maximized her autonomy. Adopt the same principle in daily life. Reflection consolidates practice. Daily or weekly, review interactions and energy expenditure. Determine which situations honored your boundaries and which require recalibration. Writing or mental review strengthens pattern recognition and supports adaptive strategies. Stoic philosophy emphasizes constant reflection to enhance virtue and rational action. Your energy is safeguarded through conscious review and adjustment. Ultimately, urban resilience is built through consistency. Emotional boundaries are both shield and compass. They protect energy while guiding focus toward what truly matters. Be like Medusa, your gaze alone establishes presence, your decisions reflect sovereignty, and your energy remains inviolate. In mastering your inner world, the city's chaos loses its power to disturb, leaving you calm, purposeful, and undeniably strong. Cities demand attention from every angle. The cacophony of urban life traffic, notifications, colleagues, acquaintances can overwhelm even the most disciplined mind. Emotional boundaries are essential defenses, enabling you to engage intentionally rather than react impulsively. Be like Medusa. Let the world observe your composure while your inner self remains untouchable, preserving clarity and calm amidst chaos. Begin with perception. Identify the subtle signs of emotional erosion, tension in your shoulders, mental fatigue, irritability, or impatience. Recognizing early indicators allows intervention before energy depletion escalates. Stoics emphasize awareness of internal states as the first step toward mastery. Observing emotions without immediate reaction creates space for rational choice rather than automatic surrender to external pressures. Urban spaces are rife with energy drainers. The persistent coworker who seeks validation, the friend who overwhelms with drama, the crowd whose urgency triggers tension, all require thoughtful engagement. Boundaries are not walls of avoidance but strategic filters. Like Medusa, whose gaze neutralized threats without unnecessary engagement, your discernment directs attention to what warrants response and deflects the rest. Communication is a primary boundary tool. Learn to assert your limits clearly, calmly, and without excessive justification. Saying no or redirecting requests is an act of self-respect, not defiance. In urban life, where social expectations often collide, decisive communication maintains autonomy and preserves mental clarity. Your presence signals control, much like Medusa's presence alone conveyed power. Cultivate routines that reinforce emotional sovereignty. Morning reflections, journaling, mindfulness practices, and micro-moments of solitude serve as regular checkpoints. These rituals act as armor, fortifying resilience before entering high-stimulus environments. Medusa's story emphasizes intentionality. She did not react impulsively. Similarly, consistent self-practice creates a buffer against urban chaos. Sensory overload is a constant urban challenge. Noise, crowds, and digital stimulation infiltrate even brief interactions. Limit exposure through strategic pauses, silent walks, quiet coffee breaks, or intentional social media boundaries. Preserving energy is not withdrawal from life. It is disciplined allocation of focus and emotional resources. Medusa's deliberate isolation mirrors this principle, allowing strength to accumulate where it matters. Emotional self-regulation transforms potential stress into power. When confronted with provocation or discomfort, pause before reacting. Observe the impulse, label the emotion, and choose a measured response. Stoic philosophy calls this assent to impressions, recognizing external events without granting them automatic influence. Your calm presence can diffuse tension, protecting your energy while maintaining integrity. Relationships require ongoing evaluation. Not all individuals deserve equal emotional investment. Some repeatedly generate negativity or demand energy without reciprocity. Boundaries can include limiting interaction, redirecting focus, or gracefully withdrawing. Medusa's power derived from selective engagement. Your energy, too, is strengthened by conscious allocation and refusal to overextend. Reflection solidifies growth. At day's end, review emotional transactions. What drained or nourished you? Adjust strategies as needed. This practice promotes continuous improvement, turning reactive tendencies into deliberate, empowered choices. Urban life is unpredictable, but consistent reflection ensures that your energy remains guarded and your autonomy uncompromised. Ultimately, mastery of emotional boundaries allows urban navigation with grace, focus, and strength. Be like Medusa. Protect your energy, choose engagement selectively, and maintain a calm, commanding presence. The city may demand attention, but you decide which energies penetrate your inner space. Your autonomy is not negotiable. It is exercised daily, deliberately, and with unshakable confidence. Urban life constantly tests resilience. Every interaction, sound, and obligation carries the potential to deplete emotional energy. Protecting your inner world is not optional, it is essential. Be like Medusa. Cultivate an awareness that allows you to navigate crowded streets, noisy offices, and social demands without surrendering composure. Your energy is a resource, and boundaries are the tools that ensure its preservation. Begin by identifying recurring emotional triggers. Observe who or what consistently elevates stress, anxiety, or irritation. Awareness is not judgment, it is strategic recognition. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the distinction between what is within your control and what is not. By focusing on your responses rather than external circumstances, you reclaim power over your inner state rather than allowing the city to dictate your mood. The art of selective engagement is crucial. Not every comment, request, or interaction deserves your full attention. Like Medusa, whose presence alone neutralized threats, you can assert influence through calm observation and measured response. Choosing where to invest attention ensures energy is preserved for meaningful interactions, personal growth, and deliberate action. Physical and digital spaces both demand boundary management. In the office, maintain personal space, control tone and posture, and limit oversharing. Online, filter content, schedule focused interactions, and mute sources of unnecessary negativity. Your environment shapes your emotional state. Curating it with intent prevents inadvertent energy loss and enhances mental clarity. Mindfulness reinforces boundary integrity. Brief pauses between meetings, walks in quiet spaces, or conscious breathing during stressful encounters allow recalibration. Observing emotions without immediate reaction strengthens self-control and prevents automatic depletion. Medusa's myth symbolizes mastery over one's gaze. Your mindful attention similarly governs which stimuli penetrate your inner life. Assertiveness requires practice. Declining requests, redirecting conversation, or limiting availability are not acts of rudeness, they are expressions of self-respect. The urban environment often pressures women to overextend emotionally. Respond with clarity and calm. The more consistently you assert boundaries, the more resilient your energy becomes. Reflection is a cornerstone of sustainable practice. At day's end, evaluate interactions. Which respected your boundaries, which overstepped, and how did you respond? Journaling these insights allows pattern recognition, preemptive strategy, and continuous improvement. Stoicism teaches that deliberate reflection transforms experience into wisdom, strengthening your inner autonomy. Social obligations must be weighed against personal capacity. Not all requests are compatible with your energy or priorities. Selective engagement ensures that commitments nourish rather than drain. Medusa's myth teaches the power of discernment. Understanding which energies to embrace and which to repel maintains sovereignty over your emotional landscape. Emotional resilience in cities also relies on anticipation. Predict situations that could be draining and plan protective strategies. Alternate periods of solitude with engagement. Schedule restorative activities and prepare mental scripts for challenging encounters. Being proactive rather than reactive ensures that your energy remains largely within your control, even in chaotic environments. Ultimately, mastering urban emotional boundaries empowers both presence and autonomy. Be like Medusa. Observe carefully, engage selectively, and act with unwavering clarity. The city will inevitably present challenges, but with intentional boundaries, your energy remains intact, your focus unwavering, and your inner world untouchable. Through consistent practice, reflection, and assertion, you become a figure of calm authority, commanding respect without aggression. Urban environments constantly demand adaptability. Unexpected interactions, fluctuating schedules, and constant social cues can challenge emotional stability. Protecting your energy requires deliberate awareness. Be like Medusa. Maintain calm, observe clearly, and let only necessary stimuli reach your inner space. Begin by identifying emotional leaks, situations, people, or digital content that subtly drain attention and well-being. Stoicism reminds us to differentiate between what we can control and what we cannot. Your focus and responses are controllable. External chaos is not. Strategic withdrawal is a form of strength. Choosing when to disengage or redirect conversation preserves energy without isolating you from life. Medusa's myth reflects intentional presence. She engaged only on her terms, conserving power and autonomy. Mindful communication reinforces boundaries. Express needs calmly, decline requests without apology, and redirect intrusive energy. This practice strengthens self-respect and signals authority in both personal and professional interactions. Daily rituals enhance resilience. Journaling, brief meditation, or controlled solitude act as emotional armor. Over time, consistent practice transforms reactive tendencies into deliberate, empowered choices. Public spaces can amplify stress. Use grounding techniques, controlled breathing, sensory focus, or momentary retreat to maintain composure. Protecting energy is not avoidance, it is preservation. Evaluate relationships regularly. Consistently draining connections should be limited, redirected, or paused. Medusa's story teaches discernment. Selective engagement safeguards autonomy. Anticipation minimizes depletion. Predict stressful encounters and plan strategies. Micro breaks, internal scripts, and conscious focus on controllable elements reduce susceptibility to external pressure. Reflection consolidates learning. Analyze which interactions honored your boundaries and adjust as needed. Stoic practice converts experience into wisdom and reinforces sovereignty over energy. Mastery of emotional boundaries cultivates calm authority. Be like Medusa. Observe, engage selectively, and preserve your energy, transforming the city's chaos into a landscape navigable with composure and power. Crowded streets, social media, and workplace pressures are constant urban stressors. Emotional boundaries allow you to filter energy wisely. Be like Medusa. Observe without internalizing, preserving clarity amidst chaos. Awareness is essential. Recognize when attention is hijacked by negativity, distraction, or excessive obligation. Stoic philosophy emphasizes discernment. Focus on what serves your purpose, release what does not. Assertiveness in daily life maintains energy. Declining requests or redirecting conversations preserves autonomy without hostility. Your boundaries define the space in which you operate effectively. Emotional microhabits are powerful. Morning reflection, journaling, and brief mindfulness exercises fortify resilience and reduce susceptibility to urban stressors. Social obligations should be evaluated with precision. Not all demands deserve energy investment. Selective engagement ensures sustainability. Medusa's presence reflects this strategy of discernment. Communication reinforces boundaries. Calm, concise, and confident responses prevent energy drain, asserting authority without aggression. Urban sensory overload requires tactical withdrawal. Short pauses, quiet walks, and intentional disconnection rejuvenate emotional reserves. Relationships can be energy sources or drains. Regular evaluation and selective engagement maintain equilibrium and autonomy. Reflection strengthens practice. Journaling interactions and outcomes fosters awareness, adaptation, and intentional boundary enforcement. Mastery of these principles creates presence and resilience. Be like Medusa. Preserve energy, assert autonomy, and navigate urban life with clarity and strength. Noise, expectations, and rapid pace challenge emotional stability in cities. Boundaries are essential for sustainable strength. Be like Medusa. Engage selectively and preserve your inner calm. Identify habitual triggers of stress or fatigue. Awareness enables preemptive action rather than reactive depletion. Assertive communication protects energy. Say no without over-explanation, redirect conversations, and maintain composure. Daily routines support resilience. Morning reflection, mindfulness, and journaling reinforce emotional sovereignty. Digital spaces amplify vulnerability. Curate content, limit notifications, and consciously disengage when needed. Social interactions should be evaluated. Some relationships drain energy. Boundaries may involve limiting exposure or strategic withdrawal. Mindful observation prevents internalization of urban chaos. Recognize impulses and choose deliberate responses. Anticipation reduces stress. Plan for known pressures, prepare mental strategies, and schedule restorative moments. Reflection consolidates learning. Evaluate boundary effectiveness and adapt strategies for continual improvement. Urban mastery is achieved through intentional engagement and emotional sovereignty. Be like Medusa, calm, composed, and unwavering in your power. The city is a crucible for emotional resilience. Noise, demands, and social pressures constantly test boundaries. Be like Medusa. Observe without overreacting, preserve energy, and act with clarity. Self-awareness identifies energy drains. Observe emotional fatigue triggers and implement preventative strategies. Boundaries protect autonomy. Assertively decline or redirect demands without guilt. Daily rituals fortify energy. Mindfulness, journaling, and brief solitude maintain inner calm. Digital environments require curation. Limit exposure to stress-inducing content to safeguard emotional reserves. Social evaluation maintains equilibrium. Prioritize relationships that nourish energy. Disengage strategically from drains. Reflection is critical. Daily assessment ensures that boundaries remain effective and adaptive. Anticipate urban stressors. Mental preparation and structured routines reduce susceptibility to depletion. Emotional regulation prevents reactive exhaustion. Observe impulses, choose responses consciously, and maintain composure. Mastery lies in deliberate practice. Be like Medusa, energy protected, boundaries firm, and presence commanding in every urban encounter. Cities challenge emotional endurance daily. Constant stimulation can erode resilience without deliberate boundaries. Be like Medusa, maintain composure, preserve energy, and engage selectively. Awareness of triggers is fundamental. Recognize sources of stress and plan mitigation strategies. Assertive communication enforces limits. Say no, redirect attention, and defend your autonomy calmly. Rituals reinforce boundaries. Mindfulness, journaling, and controlled solitude fortify emotional reserves. Social media and digital connectivity require careful curation to prevent energy leaks. Relationships must be evaluated for mutual respect and emotional sustainability. Limit or withdraw from drains. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom. Analyze interactions, outcomes, and energy expenditure. Anticipation enhances resilience. Prepare for challenging encounters with mental scripts and restorative practices. Emotional regulation is empowerment. Observe impulses, respond deliberately, and maintain calm authority. Urban mastery is deliberate, consistent, and reflective. Be like Medusa, boundaries intact, energy sovereign, and presence unwavering in the face of chaos. Navigating urban life with grace and strength requires deliberate attention to emotional boundaries. Women in cities face constant demands that can erode energy, autonomy, and focus. By cultivating awareness, assertiveness, and selective engagement, you preserve your mental and emotional reserves, transforming the urban environment from a source of depletion into a space of intentional interaction and self-possession. Be like Medusa. Observe without absorbing negativity. Engage only where it serves your purpose, and maintain composure amidst chaos. Daily practices reflection, journaling, mindfulness, and strategic withdrawal fortify resilience and ensure that your energy remains under your control. Your autonomy is not negotiable. It is cultivated through consistent, conscious action, allowing you to act with clarity, purpose, and inner strength. Ultimately, mastery of emotional boundaries is mastery of self. Cities will never cease their demands, but you have the tools to navigate them with unwavering presence. Protect your energy, assert your limits, and embrace the deliberate, disciplined power of being fully yourself. Through reflection, intention, and steadfast boundaries, you emerge unshaken, empowered, and profoundly resilient, an urban Medusa whose gaze alone commands respect and preserves sovereignty.